EGM Network.
This is an Evergreen Media Network production. And now, it's time to put you on the spot with EGM.
Hello, welcome to On the Spot with EGM. I'm Jesse Krisky. Today we are diving into one of the most powerful, earth-shaking, and cinematic pieces of music ever composed. Now imagine a stage filled with the combined voices of the Vero Beach Choral Society and the Indian River Charter High School, all backed by the raw power of a 60-piece orchestra. We're talking about Carl Orff's masterpiece, Carmina Burana. Now, most of you know that iconic, thunderous opening, O Fortuna, which has underscored everything from epic movies to world-class sporting events. But beyond the intensity, there is a beautiful, gritty, and human story about the Wheel of Fortune and the unpredictability of life. Now, joining me today to pull back the curtain on this massive local production are two people who are right in the center of the sound. Please welcome from the Vero Beach Choral Society, Dr. Jacob Craig. Hey, Dr. Craig, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And also joining us today, Brad Gardner. Hey, Brad.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to be here.
It's great to have you guys here. All right, we're talking about Carmina Burana at the St. Edward's School, April 14th at the Waxlack Center at St. Edward's School. Tell us about Carmina Burana. This isn't, tell us what this is. What can we expect at Carmina Burana?
So the proper classification for this work is that it is a scenic cantata. And a scenic cantata essentially is, a cantata translates to a piece of music that is to be performed normally with chorus and orchestra. And so a scenic cantata is one where he's trying to set up multiple scenes as you would in a theater production, but this is not a theater production. It is a classical masterwork. And so we have wonderful collaboration with the Indian River Charter High School. Peter Matani is their director. So the choir total is going to be around 120 members strong. And then, as you already alluded to, we have a 60-piece full professional orchestra that will be joining us. And it is an incredible, interesting work.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's going to be. I mean, O Fortuna, that you hear that. Dun, bum, bum, bum. I mean, it's probably one of the most recognizable pieces of music in the world.
It absolutely is. It's not the number one, but it is one of the most sampled pieces of classical music for anything in cinema, and as you already said, for gaming events, for anything in kind of that world.
Yeah, I hear it in college football and all over the place, really, in society. So what is it like to be standing in the middle of that stage with that sonic boom right behind you when that first chord hits?
Best seat in the house.
Yeah.
The argument always for conductors is that, it's one of the most expensive addictions in the world because you spend countless hours of time preparing. You have to fundraise, all for 1 hour's worth of concert that you get the best seat in the house. And there is nothing like it.
And it's got to go live, and it's got to go live, and it's got to go correctly right then and there.
Exactly correct.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. You're working with 60-piece orchestra. Now, most choral works are performed with a piano or like a small ensemble, as you know. How is having a 60-piece orchestra behind you change the way you actually have to sing and perform?
You are correct. And one of the reasons for the classification of a masterwork really began with Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. That was the first time that you had a full orchestral symphony with the addition of a choir. And so all you're doing is you're layering the possible textures, the different kinds of sonorities and the timbres to make something that's grand even grander. Since then, a lot of the major composers have written masterworks. So you have Mahler and you have Rachmaninoff and you have Carl Orff and you have all these great, amazing composers who really realize what is the largest maximum sound that you can just have musically. And it seems to be the combination of a full symphonic orchestra and a large choir. And they call that a symphonic chorus.
Okay. And you're going to hear that symphonic chorus at Carmina Burana at the St. Edward's School, April 14th. Get your tickets now. The St. Edward's School, 1895 St. Edward's Drive. We're going to fill that entire building with music. Not only the choir, but the orchestra. It's going to be amazing. Now, for the Vero Beach Choral Society, where does Carmina Burana rank in terms of the all-time biggest productions?
I think as far as I know for our history, I think this will be the largest production they've done. The second largest was a couple years ago. We did Carl Jenkins' The Armed Man, and that was a similar kind of experience, but this is a slightly larger scale than even that was.
Okay, very good. So if you could give the audience one piece of advice on how to listen to this performance to get the most out of it, what would it be?
So one of the things that's so interesting about this is that it's a secular cantata, and it's based on some medieval poetry, and it's actually in 3 different languages. It has ecclesiastical Latin, it has Old Middle High German, and then it also has an antiquated version of French. So one of the things we're able to do is we're able to project the translation of the words onto a screen while all of this is being sung, so people can follow along and actually see the story behind the text. The compositional style writing for this is called text painting. And so the text exists, it describes a certain type of story, and then the music is supposed to be an oral representation of what that story sounds like. Very, very close to what we now have as cinematic music. Obviously, the music can really make a scene something that's exciting or gripping or whatever other kind of emotion you're trying to create.
Okay, all right, very interesting. Brad, you are the executive director. Did I get that right?
Actually, I'm the president of the board of directors.
You're president of the board of directors. What is it like to be the president of the board of directors on something like this?
Well, it's a great honor to have a great board of directors because we have a great choral group and we have a phenomenal artistic director. The board of directors' responsibility is to make sure that we're fulfilling the mission of bringing world-class choral and orchestral performances to the Vero Beach community. And perhaps of equal importance is raising the funds to produce these wonderful productions. So the funds that we raise pay for the employment of Jacob, our artistic director, and pay for the full orchestra and creating the production. So pleased to be on the board of directors and pleased that I have a great team on the board to support the productions that Jacob is bringing to the stage.
Yeah, very good. Now, I want to reiterate that, I mean, this is a 60-piece orchestra along with a chorus. There's a lot going into this. You're performing alongside students from Indian River Charter High School. How is the energy, right? Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Now, how has the energy changed in rehearsals by mixing your veteran choral voices with the raw enthusiasm of these high schoolers?
I think you about said it perfectly right there. Those high schoolers really do bring this fresh sense of energy. Peter Matani, their director, they have a choral MPA, what's called a musical performance assessment that they have to do every year. And they actually took a couple of the movements from Carmina Burana, memorized to that, and it got straight superiors, which is phenomenal. They are amazing. I was there accompanying them, and it is a very different approach, and there's that kind of raw, unbridled teenage enthusiasm, which we really try to capture.
That's great. Awesome. Carmina Burana is playing at the St. Edward's School, April 14th. Get your tickets now. It's at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are available at Vero Beach Choral Society.org. Now, about Carmina Burana, this piece is all about the ever-changing nature of fate, right? The Wheel of Fortune.
That is
the
correct.
Original Wheel of Fortune, not the game show, but the original one. Now, after weeks of rehearsing, you said these are medieval poems that you're rehearsing.
That is correct.
Has the message of the music changed how you view life or luck?
I think the medieval poetry is such an interesting approach to this composition because a lot of the concepts in the poetry were things that were a little bit taboo. There's actually quite a bit of evidence that some monks kind of had some fun writing some secular joke poetry. So there's all kinds of descriptions of some play between nymphs in the woods, and there's play between the fate, always kind of approaching the fine line between success and demise. And it is a very interesting way of projecting what we all experience throughout our lives, with fate being something that gives us challenges and successes.
All right, very good. Again, Carmina Burana playing April 14th at 7:30 at St. Edward's School. Get your tickets at Vero Beach Choral Society.org. All right, we have about a minute left, guys. Since most people know the beginning and the end of O Fortuna, what is a hidden gem moment in the middle of the show of Carmina Burana that the audience should listen for?
I think one of the very interesting parts of this is Orff wrote this to be scored for 2 main soloists and then a 3rd tenor soloist. So we have an amazing baritone soloist named Dr. Anthony Barron. He's the headmaster of Trinity Episcopal Church's New School, as well as their music director. And then we have an amazing soprano soloist, Lisa Eden. She had done this a few years ago in the Kennedy Center, and she's a very phenomenal soprano. And then one of our very own choral singers, Derek Nierenberg, is going to be doing the tenor solo. The reason I'm bringing that up is because his solo is one of the joke pieces, and he is representing a goose who is being roasted alive as everyone's getting ready for dinner. And he is singing about his demise, what fate has brought him, and he's about to be a meal. And it's very funny.
All right. Very good. We'll look out for that. Very good. All right. 30 seconds, guys. Sell us on Carmina Burana. Why should the average person go see this?
The average person has not ever experienced the sheer amount of sound that a full symphonic orchestra and choir can give you. We're talking about something close to 120 decibels most of the time, and it is just, there is no replacing a live performance with a recording.
All right, very good. You can't replicate it. You can only go and experience it live at St. Edward's School, April 14th. Get your tickets at Vero Beach Choral Society.org. All right. Thank you, Dr. Jacob Craig. Thank you, Brad Gardner. Carmina Burana playing April 14th at the St. Edward's School. Vero Beach Choral Society.org. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. And thank you for watching On the Spot. This is the EGM Network. I'm Jesse Kriski. Until next time, take care, everybody.